Elizabeth Palmer is with us from London now. Elizabeth, what's the latest on the investigation and the suspect?
He's still unnamed, but Scotland Yard knows who he is. The Prime Minister stood up in Parliament a little while ago and furnished a few more details. She said he's British-born and that he'd actually been investigated for links to violent extremism in the past. However, it looks as if he drifted off the radar since then.
Liz, it looks like a beautiful day. You've got Big Ben in Parliament right behind you there. What is security there like today?
Well, I'm standing at the very limit of the police cordon around this whole area, probably a mile by a mile. And nobody's allowed in or out. It's basically a huge crime scene. So the bridge where the attack happened is the one you can see just behind me, spanning the Thames. Parliament's just across the river, and nobody's going in or out at the moment. Police helicopters are circling overhead. We see police boats on the river. Clearly, there's a big forensic investigation going on and an attempt to make the area completely safe before they reopen it. This is the beginning of the very busy tourist season here in London, and so the British authorities want to make sure that everything is safe and that it looks safe with the presence of more armed officers in order to convince people to come here anyway and spend their money. The British economy, and particularly London's economy, really does depend to some extent on tourists flocking to this city.
And what about the reaction from locals, tourists, politicians? What are you hearing from people?
People are shocked. Many people are very saddened. The police force is certainly in mourning. They observed a minute of silence for Keith Palmer, who was stabbed to death by the attacker before he in turn was shot. But there's a certain grit here. You know, this whole culture forged in World War II and the bombings, then went through terrible terrorist attacks during the IRA struggle in the 70s and 80s, and then more recently there have been a couple of very serious terrorist attacks here, including the bombing of the subway in 2007. So people are tough-minded about it, and in the spirit of the keep calm and carry on attitude that the British are so famous for, the parliamentarians who had been in lockdown yesterday, very close to the scene of the attack, were back at work this morning, first thing, and the Prime Minister stood up in the House and she said, "We are not going to let this deter us. The most important thing is to show that we're back in business and we are not afraid." Now, the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, who is himself a Muslim, has asked that everybody come to the centre of London, to Trafalgar Square, this evening for a candlelight vigil, which will be a gathering not only of mourning and respect for the dead and the wounded, but also a great demonstration of solidarity.
We are showing now an image, Liz, of course, of the solidarity across Europe. There you saw the Eiffel Tower that went dark in memoriam of the lives lost in the UK there in London. So what are the next steps in the investigation?
We expect to learn the name of the attacker soon. He's dead, but overnight there were raids. They've been rounding up his associates. The intimations we're getting from Scotland Yard is that he was a lone wolf, probably self-radicalized. That will be confirmed by the security services if indeed that's true. And they will be aggressively investigating his friends, his entourage, to make sure that there is no other plot percolating, that he was indeed a guy just acting alone. The British intelligence services have a reputation for being very good. You can bet today that they are scouring all their records of particularly people who've been investigated. This guy was on the radar. They don't want anybody else to suddenly come barreling out of the past and commit an act. And they'll probably be questioning everybody who they think may be a terrorist attack waiting to happen.
All right, Elizabeth Palmer reporting for us from London. Thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate it.